right. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Heather Walmsley. I'm the Assistant Director of Employer Relations in Carnegie Mellon's Career and Professional Development Center. And today for our Talent Insider webinar, we are featuring our Civil and Environmental Engineering Department with Dr. Jerry Wang, who has been gracious enough to present to us today and teach us more about civil and environmental engineering. We'll be learning about, the programs, the students, the types of skills that they develop and what they're learning, and how they'll be applicable and useful in the workforce for employers like yourselves. So with that, I will hand it over to Dr. Wang and he'll get started. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to use the Q&A feature and hopefully we can address them at the end. Dr. Wang?
All right, well, wonderful. Heather, thank you so much for that very kind introduction, and to all of you who are watching either here synchronously or later on, it's great to have you here. I'm very excited to share a bit about what makes civil and environmental engineering CEE here at Carnegie Mellon so special. It holds a very near and dear place in my heart, and I am genuinely charged up about the kinds of students that we produce here and the kinds of skills that they take into all of their many adventures after their time at Carnegie Mellon. So in brief, the core goal of our department, the core kinds of training that our students receive, is engineering skills to help improve the quality of life in a broad range of areas. The particular areas that our students tend to develop skills in and really have career passions in tend to lie in the areas of infrastructure provision and management, and also public health and environmental protection. I'll talk a little bit more in detail about what our civil engineers and our environmental engineers learn to do in a moment. Historically, the career paths pursued by our students tend to fall in a pretty diverse range of buckets. We've had traditionally quite a few structural engineers and construction engineers coming out of our program. We also have a growing number of students in our department pursuing jobs in environmental engineering and water resources management. Lots of folks who are very interested in integrating a lot of computing and computational science and engineering into their work. This is one of the real strong aspects of our department. And also a lot of folks who are interested in transportation and energy. Our students are very passionate about making a difference in the world. Run down some of the highlights. These are all alums from the past 5 years. Some of the very nifty projects that they've been a part of include working on the PNC Tower. We had one alum, I think this was 4 years back, who is now working on environmental remediation along the Ganges River. Folks working in Alaska, or one who worked on part of the design of the National Museum of African American History and Culture, or one of the new Smithsonian museums in DC. So our alums have been up to a lot of exciting things. Now we've got two programs here in our department in civil and environmental engineering. We have a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering and also a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Engineering. Both of these are very well regarded programs by our peers. Our civil engineering program is ranked 12th by US News and World Report. Some of the highlights of this program include 4 very, very hands-on experimental lab and data analysis course that really form the backbone of our program in tandem with a 4-year project course sequence that I'll talk more about in a moment. We also have a very strong focus, like I said, in computing and data analytics. I, in fact, teach our required sophomore level course in computational science and data science. And this is something that we want all of our students leveraging Carnegie Mellon's very unique culture around computing and a strong history and legacy in the area. We really want our civil engineers to understand how computing, sensing, including remote sensing and high performance computing, can play a substantial role in civil engineering practice. So they get a lot of hands-on practice and experience with that. We also believe very much in having a well-rounded education. And so we have 6 free electives in our civil engineering program, and our students use these free electives to pursue anything from creative writing to music to history to, for a substantial number of our students, a strong interest in engineering and public policy. We also have a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Engineering. We began this degree program officially in 2021 last year. This program is also very well regarded. It's ranked 8th by US News and World Report. And the environmental engineering program also has a 4-year project sequence. A lot of this in some amount of overlap with the civil engineering side, but working on more environmental engineering tracked projects. Our environmental engineers also go through the same computing and data analytics sequence. and develop a lot of strength in this area. Of course, the kinds of application problems they work on in these courses tend to be a little bit different, whether it's a genomics project for environmental microbiology, or perhaps a wastewater transport modeling problem, but still very strong hands-on experience with computing and data analytics. Our environmental engineers also have a significant number of free electives. They have 5 in total. We believe a lot in this department in flexibility of curriculum, even while hitting the baseline standards for any civil engineering or environmental engineering degree. And we believe enormously in the power of hands-on learning, which is why labs and projects and design build test courses form the backbone of our degree programs. We have a lot of flexibility for students to pursue minors and additional majors. Roughly half of our students choose to so do, the single most popular one, the plurality, being a double major in engineering and public policy, because we have a lot of students who are very interested in the public policy ramifications of their civil engineering or environmental engineering interests. We have a very collegial culture in the department. I think every place would love to say that they have a collegial culture, but here we say it and we really mean it. Our students in our undergraduate program really spend a lot of time working together in those project courses, and they also spend a lot of time working in our department's shared study spaces with each other on team projects, studying for tests. I've been at a handful of institutions, and I can say with no irony or really no qualifications that the culture here, as far as an engineering program goes, is really unlike any place I've ever been. We have an annual civil and environmental engineering virtual career fair, which some of you may have potentially participated in some capacity or other, that we're also very excited about as an opportunity for employers to get to know our students and the many talents they bring to the table. Now, what I would like to talk about next is that project sequence, those 4 core project courses that form the backbone of our curriculum, just to give you a sense for the kinds of experiences that our students develop in these courses. Everything good in our program starts in the first year in 12100. Most of our majors will take this in the fall semester of their freshman year. A handful take it in their spring semester. We offer it both in the fall and the spring. 12100, exploring civil and environmental engineering. Students get their first taste of structural engineering and environmental engineering problems here, working on a rotating set of projects that changes out each year. And they also get their first exposure to planning and management and their first serious teamwork experiences of their collegiate engineering careers. This continues in their sophomore year in 12200, CEE Challenges that's full title, Challenges in a Changing World. It's our sophomore level design course. Students develop a lot of experience with an iterative design, build, test process in here. And they also start to develop some serious skills. We have a wood shop down in our basement, and a fair number of them take quite a liking to that and spend a lot of time down there working on their designs and actually building stuff. A lot of hands-on experience, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And it's the right age to start doing that. This continues in their junior year in 12301, CEE Projects. It's our junior level design course. Students continue to develop these design, build, test, and teamwork skills. And they also start to get their first serious discussions of ethical and professional topics in engineering. It is at this point in time that our students start to develop a very serious understanding, and we certainly expect that all of them will read for the first time in cover to cover detail the ASCE Code of Ethics or corresponding ethical topics from other professional societies, depending on what their future engineering interests and what they're working towards, depending on what that is. Finally, in senior year, we have our senior capstone, 12401. This is a very extensive semester-long design and build centered course. The projects have switched out year to year. There are some projects that are a little more civil focused, some that are a little more environmentally focused. All of our seniors take this course together, whether they're civil engineering or environmental engineering, and they split out into teams to work on various components of the project that are more suited to their particular future professional interests. One very unique aspect of this course is that there's a significant community partnership component. So this is done in tandem and in consultation with community stakeholders. For example, 2 years ago, we had a team, our senior capstone class worked on developing a hydroponic aquaculture setup, which you see there in the lower left-hand corner. And this was done in tandem with several partners in the community. The setup that they built, in fact, is now living just about 10 miles outside of campus, where it's currently in use. So it's very important to us that our engineers be able to engage with the community and to learn how to work with a diverse range of stakeholders. And they really get a ton of nose to the grindstone experience doing that in our senior capstone course. Undergraduate research is also very much a part of our culture. I direct our summers, our department's summer research program. So every summer we have between 30 and 40 undergraduate and master's students who pursue a 2-month research experience with a faculty mentor during the school year. We also have a significant number of undergraduates engaged in various forms of research across our areas of major research strength in this department, in advanced infrastructure systems, in environmental engineering and sustainability science, and in mechanics, materials, and computing, which is where my area of research falls. It's very important for us that as many undergraduates as possible get some taste of research while they're here, and a significant portion, around half of our undergraduates will undertake a significant research experience at some point during their time at Carnegie Mellon. We have an integrated bachelor's master's program, or our IMB program, which enables students amongst our undergraduates to receive a master's in some cases 9 semesters in total. So that's the bachelor's and the master's all combined. Typically this is done in 10 semesters. So in one extra year, we have students developing a strong concentration in one subject area beyond their undergraduate training. A lot of our IMB students are some of our absolute sharpest students in the department. Like I said earlier, we have a very unique community here. It is very, very collegial. That is true whether we are in the midst of a global pandemic or not. So when I first started here on the faculty just shortly before the pandemic started, I could attest in my own personal experience that the number of community events, whether these are study sessions for the FE exam, purely social activities, or community outreach, social outreach activities, our students here are very engaged. We have a remarkably engaged undergraduate chapter of ASCE as well as of Chi Epsilon. They play a huge role in organizing a lot of the community events here. And over the course of the pandemic, that hasn't really faded away at all. We've had a very robust set of community activities carried out largely over Zoom, including a social justice and engineering seminar series that brought a lot of our department together throughout 2020, 2021, and early parts of this year. Folks getting together on a regular basis and talking about social justice issues as they pertain to civil and environmental engineering. Our community in total is, of course, not just our undergraduate students. We have here a large undergraduate and graduate population. Just to give all of you a sense of numbers, we have roughly approximately 40 undergraduate students in our department between civil and environmental engineering in any given year. So we graduate about 40 seniors each year. And in some total, including our master's and our PhD students, we graduate in the vicinity of 100 students each year. So there's a very significant pool of students that we help train each year, a lot of whom have a very strong interest in staying in the Pittsburgh area. Our students, we draw a considerable number from the Western Pennsylvania area. A lot of them have family ties, social ties to the area, and really want to stay around here after they graduate and work in some capacity, helping to contribute to engineering projects in the Pittsburgh area or in Western Pennsylvania. So with all of that on the table, I leave here some of our department's various means of contact and our social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. There's a lot of fantastic stuff on all of these places. We have a wonderful communications team that helps keep folks abreast of all the great work that's happening here in the department. I'd be very happy at this junction to take any questions that any of you might have. And I really appreciate you being here to listen to all the things that make our civil and environmental engineers who they are.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wang. And yes, if anybody wants to ask any questions, please feel free to type it in the Q&A or raise your hand and I can unmute and allow you to speak the question out loud as well.
Now, say as the first questions start to be formulated or trickle in, that what's really just absolutely plain darn special about the engineers here. And like I said earlier, I've been around a couple different engineering programs. I've had the opportunity to work with students. I did my PhD at MIT and I did my undergraduate studies in at Yale University, and a much smaller engineering program. So I've gotten to see what engineering undergraduates are like at a broad range of different kinds of institutions. And I think CMU, our civil and environmental engineers, really bring a lot to the table that's really quite special. The strong focus on computing and data analytics in our curriculum, that's really quite special. I don't know of another civil engineering program or environmental engineering program where students develop so much hands-on, real practical skills in integrating sensing computing into civil engineering systems, infrastructure systems, water management systems. So that's very special. But what's even more special to me, I think the single most defining characteristic of our program is the enormous amount of teamwork that's threaded into the program. Obviously, working in teams is a huge part of engineering, as everybody here in this call knows. But getting that serious practice in an environment where you have a really nice faculty to student ratio, so you also get a lot of team mentorship and mentorship around team dynamics, things that work well and how to get past things that don't work quite so well. That's really unique here, and our ability to do that for students, because we have a very favorable faculty student ratio, is fantastic. And our students really leave with a lot of skills in that area.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely a very unique part about CMU and something I'm particularly proud of too. But it looks like we don't have too many questions. Totally fine. That was a great oversight of the program. I really appreciated hearing it and learning more. And we will be posting this on our CPDC Carnegie Mellon website as well. So if anyone is in the room and wants to share this with their peers or colleagues, it will be available on our website. But as long as you don't have anything else to add, I think we're done. Thank you, Dr. Wang.
Absolutely. Thank you, Heather, very much for organizing, and to all the folks in the CPDC for everything that you do. And if any of you have any questions or any further points that you wish to follow up on, please feel free to use any of those methods of communication that were on that last slide.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
All right. Take care, folks.